Here we go. Okay.
There you are.
Hello. Okay. It works. Okay. The subject today is the taking out of the Sefer Torah from the Aron Kodesh. We're dialing back here, and I'll explain to you as we go why I'm dialing back to something that we've already leapfrogged over. We take out a Sefer Torah each time. There's a ceremony in the Siddur. There's a certain ceremony is the wrong word. There are specific words that we say each time we're taking a Sefer Torah out of the Aron Kodesh. What I want to do today, even though unfortunately at the moment we are not back in shul, but to think a little bit about what the significance of that element of davening, of tefillah, should have for us now, and hopefully planning for, God willing, the not too distant future, to be able to go back into the heichalot, into our sanctuaries, in our mikdashei ma'at, in our shuls. This has been a theme for me for quite a while about the enmeshment of tefillah and Talmud Torah. I just spoke about it in a few of the recent shiurim. We've been right here in the Soul of the Siddur series about how when we get to Uva L'Tzion Goel, it really is about the fusion of tefillah and Talmud Torah, davening and learning. Both of these things are enmeshed. And I've come back to this again and again. I want to show you another aspect of this, but particularly how it fits in with the tefillah. Now at the moment, we are sort of wistfully thinking about the Kriyat Torah that we have not had for many, many weeks. In fact, unfortunately, stretching into months. And we think a little bit, if I could draw an analogy, at risk of making too much of this analogy, but give me one more minute, hold on. The analogy a little bit is think about how Jewish people throughout the ages learned various parts of Shas that did not have relevancy for the moment, particularly for most Jews, I would say, as regards the halachot of Trumah and Masor, anything related to tithing in Eretz Yisrael. Not enough Jews, there were Jews who lived there, but most Jews did not. Yet they continued to study Seder Zraim in the hope that someday they'd come back. We're still studying now Seder Kodshim and Seder Taharot, various aspects of Shas that relate to elements that will not be back in force until we are back with a Beit HaMikdash in Yerushalayim. Go know that a few months ago, if anyone would tell you, the shuls of the world are all going to be suspended and nobody will be able to daven together, it's impossible. That cannot happen. It's science fiction. We're living through it now in the moment. It's our reality. So let's take the learning today a little bit. I'm dedicating it towards our vision of return to our heichal, to our shul, to our Torah. And those may be listening or watching from other shuls, to your shul. You're welcome to come in our shul, but to go to your shul, whatever shul you have, to be able to connect again to Kadosh Baruch Hu, to realize that one of the central aspects, as we are on the cusp of Zman Matan Toratenu, one of the central aspects is Kriyat HaTorah that transpires on a regular basis in shul. Let me pause here. Karen, you want to say something? I'm sorry. You pass. Okay. Open with me in the Art Scroll Siddur, page 138. And if you're holding the Koren, it's going to be on page... I'm just using these two each time, the two Siddurim we have in our shul, not to the exclusion of other beautiful Siddurim in the world.
So what are you talking about? I have a different Siddur, my own.
So it's right after the Amidah, the daily tefillah, the Amidah. We come to Tachanun. We studied in this series, Soul of the Siddur, Tachanun. When we finished Tachanun, right before we were going to do this section about the Hotzat, Sefer Torah, and Kriyat Torah, we were unfortunately interrupted in terms of our being able to be in person. So I leapfrogged and I started learning one of the chapters of Tehillim, which is about a time of trial and distress, chapter 20, which happens to come later in the Siddur, in the daily davening. From there we moved to Uva L'Tzion Goel, where we talked about the fusion between Tefillah and Talmud Torah and how the two of them are really holding each other, if you will, hand in hand. One's holding the other's wrist. They're both dependent on each other and interrelated to each other as an experience of one's relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the perspective of one's leiv v'nefesh. Now, as we're before Zman Matan Toratenu, journey with me into the tefillah aspect that encases and encompasses the taking out of the Torah from the Aron Kodesh. The first thing to note, of course, is that we have several psukim here. There are verses that we are told and shown here, yeah? So as soon as we see these psukim, we should automatically be asking ourselves, what does it augur that there are psukim in front of us, right? So when you see these psukim in context, you can understand something about why they're so significant and why they appear as they do in the Siddur every time we take out a Sefer Torah. Now, when do we take out a Sefer Torah? Obviously on Shabbat. We take a Sefer Torah out on holidays. We take a Sefer Torah out on Mondays and Thursdays. We'll get to that. Let's just see it inside. Now, the pasuk here by Yibin Soharon, we find right here. Where is it? In the book that we're in right now. We're in the midst of Sefer Bamidbar. So Sefer Bamidbar is Davka, contains within it the pasuk by Yibin Soharon. The Jew takes the Sefer Torah out of the Aron Kodesh. We say this pasuk. When we put back the Sefer Torah, flip in your Siddur. The last lines, when you're putting the Sefer Torah back, page 148 of the art scroll, and in the Koran, it's page, whatever page it is, page 169, it should be. 169, the last paragraph begins, Uvenucho Yomar Shuva Hashem Revod Al Fei Yisrael. So I'm sure everybody's still with me. Page 148 in the art scroll, 169 in the Koran. I'm dealing with a daily tefillah. Uvenucho Yomar Shuva Hashem Revavot Al Fei Yisrael. Where is that pasuk from? Also a pasuk. Where is it taken from? The answer is, it's the next pasuk after Vayibin Soha'aron. So in other words, every time we take out a Sefer Torah, the first line of taking it out and among the last lines of putting it back are actually two verses that are right next to each other. Now, what are these two verses? These two verses in the middle of Sefer Bamidbar are, sorry?
Can you just mute everybody?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, hold on one second.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to mute it. Thank you. I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's creating a lot of distortion on the line. If you want to speak, by all means, don't hesitate to unmute yourself. Just please be considerate and remute yourself so there won't be distortion. As I was saying a minute ago, it turns out that whenever we take out a Sefer Torah, we always begin with the same pasuk by Yibin Soha Ha'aron, and we end with Uvenucho Yomar. What are these two psukim? These are the two psukim that describe the traveling of the Aron Kodesh, of the Holy Ark, specifically, at the epicenter of the people walking through the Midbar. Therefore, we begin by Yibin Soharon. Here is as it traveled. Moshe would say each time, "Arise, God, may your enemies be scattered, and may those who hate you, the hated ones of you, run away from your presence." When they would put the Sefer Torah down, the Aron Kodesh rather, down, Uvenucho Yomar, what would he say? Shuva Hashem Rivavot Alfei Yisrael. Right? Return Hashem to the myriad thousands of Israel. Now, these two psukim bracket, encase, envelop, embrace the Jewish people's journey of reading the Torah. So here we are in Shul, wherever we find ourselves. Well, not yet, but hopefully soon again. Each Kriyat HaTorah we should see against the backdrop of our journey with our Sefer Torah, with our Aron Kodesh throughout Jewish history. This does not require great sermonics. It's the actual pshat of the psukim. And sandwiched in between them is the traveling of the Aron and the placing back down of the Aron. Now, what's happening when we say this line? Where's the Sefer Torah? In the Aron Kodesh. Where is the Sefer Torah here? Being placed back in the Aron Kodesh. Where is the Aron Kodesh? The Aron Kodesh itself is not going to move. What's going to move? The Sefer Torah is going to come out of the Aron Kodesh, and it's going to, quote unquote, travel from the Aron Kodesh to the Shulchan, to the table, where the Torah will be read aloud. So in other words, we're making a declaration, the Torah itself, the Shliach is going to carry the Sefer Torah as if he's carrying the Aron Kodesh. We're going to move the whole Aron Kodesh, but it's being moved around. And then we put it back in So it's by Yisrael. What transpired in between is Kriyat HaTorah. But I think there's another message here also for us in terms of the Beit Knesset itself, which is we're journeying, we're barreling through Jewish history. The earth continues to spin on its axis and it continues to rotate in revolutions rather. It rotates on its axis and it has revolutions around the sun, and everything is in motion. Sefer Torah is in motion, our journey through Jewish history, and if we take it with us. So we carry it by even so Aaron Moshe, and then we put it back down. Yeah, Shelly, go ahead. Unmute yourself because I can't hear you.
I don't remember. Okay, this is in Midbar?
Yeah, Sefer Midbar. It's
Okay,
Parshat Ba'alotcha. We're going to get there soon. We're not there yet.
This is before or after Amalek in any wars?
After Amalek.
After Amalek.
Yeah.
I thought so, because that in itself is very significant, isn't it? Because
Yes.
when you're saying that your enemies flee, when
Yes.
they came out of Egypt, everybody was afraid of them, and there wasn't any enemy. I mean, everybody fled, especially after the crossing of the Yam Suf.
Yeah.
And
Point well taken. Yes.
So it seems to me somehow this is significant that we want God's enemies to flee, and then when we're done traveling, we want God's Shekhinah to come back to us. Isn't that what they mean by
to dwell in our midst as we encamp? Yes. Now, one of the things about the Aron Kodesh, in terms of its travel with the Jewish people, is that in fact the way it's described in Parshat Bamidbar in the second chapter is that you had, when it encamped, the Aron Kodesh, the Ol Moed, the Mishkan, meaning, was in the middle. The Machane Leviah and Machane Yisrael, the Jewish people, were all around. So they were divided into the 12 tribes, not Levi. Levi's in the middle, but the 12 tribes are groups of 3 on all four cardinal winds. When they travel, though, it's 3 plus 3, meaning what's called Degel Machane Yehuda. And then Dagel Machane Ruvain, they're going to travel. Then comes the Aron Kodesh and the traveling Ol Moed. And then comes the Degel Machane Ephraim, the Degel Machane Dan. The Degel means the banner, but they were they were in charge of those 3 tribes in a certain way. They were the lead tribe within the 3. You follow? So in other words, when the Aron Kodesh traveled, it actually traveled sandwiched in between, generally, in between 6 tribes on one side and 6 tribes on the other side when they moved. That's generally what was supposed to happen. Generally. There were exceptions. And we'll come to an exception in a moment. But just to set it up so you understand, wow, the idea that the Kriyat HaTorah itself is a Kriyat HaTorah that is associated with the journey of the Torah itself. The Kriyat HaTorah associated with the journey of the Torah, whether that's the journey from the Aron Kodesh to the Shulchan, to the table where it's going to be read, and the journey back, but also in a more broad sense, it's encasing the Kriyat HaTorah that we're going to read now is part of the journey of the Torah by Ibn Soha Aaron and Uvrucho Yomar. When you look in a Sefer Torah, these 2 psukim are obviously not in different colors, but they are differentiated from the verses before and the verses after by 2 upside down letter nuns. If you look at a Sefer Torah, you'll find the letter nun inverted before it and after it, as if it was in bracketing these 2 psukim to tell us these 2 psukim are very, very significant. Says the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat on page 115b. Okay, so we have here Tirgama Rav Chizda Aliba de Rav Huna B'Tevot. Oh, sorry, that's the last one. Sorry. Here, Tana Rabbanan. Sorry, our rabbis taught. Vayihi bin Soha Aaron Vayomer Moshe Parsha Zu Asala Kadosh Baruch Hu Simaniyot Milamala Ulamata. Hashem made signs, little signs. We call them the upside down nuns on the top and the bottom, before and after these psukim. We actually see it in the Sefer Torah written. So why? Lomar, to teach us. She'ein ze mekoma. These 2 verses don't belong here. They just don't belong here in the Torah. Really, where should it have gone? Rashi says, It belonged really where the Degalim are back in Parshat Bamidbar, what I just told you now. That's where it should have described this Parsha. It should have been in Parshat Bamidbar Sinai, Parshat Bamidbar from this past week. Okay, so it's not in the right spot. That's why the two upside down nuns are there, which is strange. Okay, why do you need two upside down nuns there? So the question is, why should that be? Right? Rabbi Omer, lo min Hashem hu zeh, el mipnei shesefer chashuv hu bifnei atzmo. No, that's not really why those two nuns are there. It's not because this parsha doesn't belong here, and the Torah wants to remind us it belongs somewhere else, but rather to tell us something very important, which is that these two psukim are like their own book of the Torah, and these are bookends. The two nuns, the two signs. Kema nazla hadam Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman Rabbi Yonatan chatzva amudei shiv'a elu shiv'a sifrei Torah. You thought there were 5 books in the Torah? This Chacham Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman says in Rabbi Yonatan, actually there are really 7 books of the Torah. Breshit, Shmot, Vayikra, the first section of Sefer Bamidbar. 2 psukim of Sefer Bamidbar are their own book, the book Vayihi bin Soa. Then comes everything after those 2 psukim is the rest of Sefer Bamidbar. Then comes Sefer Dvarim. Another time we can parse why 5 to 7 and what that significance is, etc., etc. But here's the long and the short of it. I'm skipping a few lines in the Gemara. The Gemara finally says, okay, according to the view that holds that it's not in the right spot, what's it doing here? Okay, why is it sandwiched here? V'lama katva kan? Why is it placed here? Kidei lahafsik ben puranut rishona lepuranut shniya. The reason why it's there is that those 2 psukim are an interruption. They're meant to interrupt between the first calamity and the second calamity. Says the Gemara, what do you mean to interpose between the first calamity and the second calamity? Now look at the verses with me. The second calamity, the Gemara says, is so obvious. The nation were full of quarreling. It was evil in the eyes of Hashem. Hashem heard of this, and he was wroth with them. He was angry. Not literally, but figuratively. Fire burned. The fire of Hashem burned, and it burned the edge of the encampment. Says the Gemara.
Korach rebellion?
No, this is just the complaints of the people who are upset with the food, basically. So, okay, wait a second. The Gemara says, we get it. Here, this is obvious. This is the second calamity. What's the calamity over here? It says that they had some kind of calamity. If you look down here where I'm pointing, can you see my pointer? Down below? Okay? Right? So, Puranut Shniya Maihi. What's the second calamity? Vayiham Kimitonim. The people complained, and there was a punishment. That's a calamity. Because everything was going so well in Jewish history till that point, and everything fell to pieces. So the Gemara says, okay, fine, that's the second calamity. Puranut Rishona, what's the first calamity? Answer, Vayisu Mehar Hashem. They left the mountain of God. You know what the first calamity is? They left Har Sinai. The very fact that they left Har Sinai was itself a calamity because they journeyed away from the place of Matan Torah for the first time. And therefore, sandwiched in between calamity 1 and calamity 2 are 2 psukim to give us comfort, which is, don't worry, Kindalach, we're leaving Har Sinai, we're taking the Torah with us wherever we go. In fact, the Rashi here points this out, that the issue of the Puranut Rishona, that the first calamity, quotes Rashi, but let me just tell you what Tosfot says, based on the Medrash, Vayisu, when they left the Har Hashem, Shenasu Mehar Sinai, Derech Shloshit Yamim, they left Har Sinai for 3 days. Now look at these next words, unbelievable. Vayimim Vazman Hazeh, Ketinok HaYotzei Mi Beit HaSefer, Sheboreach Lo V'holech Lo. Like a kid getting out of school, a little kid gets out of school, that they run away from school and they go on their merry way. Kach Hayu Borchim Mehar Sinai, Derech Shloshit Yamim. They ran 3 days' journey away from Har Sinai. Lefi Shalamdu HaBeit Torah B'Sinai. since they had learned a lot of Torah, but all right, enough, let us out of school. That's a calamity. Now you understand what's going on here? So every time we take out a Sefer Torah, what do we say? Maybe it was a full 3 days or almost 3 days before since we learned Torah the last time. Now we're going to learn Torah again. Yeah, as a community. And if we left the Har Sinai, we left Har Hashem, we are going back to Har Hashem when we take out the Sefer Torah. Where do we read the Sefer Torah in the shul? The shulchan is meant to be in the middle of the room. Davka at the central point of the room. This is not accidental. It's meant to look like Har Sinai. And Davka, the people ringing around Har Sinai. You know, there are some shuls that have like theater in the round, which I don't like for other reasons, but for reasons having to do with kavana, etc. But there's something there. Ira, I think you're trying to talk, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't this where we get the halacha of you have to read the Sefer Torah? If you take it to someone, you have to read it 3 times.
That's related to, it is related to the covet of the Sefer Torah and the kviyut of the Sefer Torah in a place. I thought you were going to say something else, which is, isn't it related to the 3 days we lane every 3 days? But it's not really that either. It's coming to the next thing. But bear with me another minute. Look at what's going on here. When we take out the Sefer Torah, we say specifically, the words specifically that we're moving from the Sefer Torah. We're moving with the Torah. We're taking it out of the Aron Kodesh and we're taking it with us on a journey. What's the next sentence in the Siddur? Footnote 11, page 138 in the art scroll, back to page 159 in the Koran. In the Koran, it just says in the margin where it's from, and we have it at footnote 11. It's a pasuk from the book of Yeshayahu. What pasuk is that? Ki mitzion teitzei Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. Where does Torah come from? Comes from Har Moriah. Why is that? The Beit HaMikdash is built in Har Moriah, in Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. What physical element of Har Sinai was moved to Yerushalayim?
Torah?
The Luchot, the Torah. The actual 2 tablets were moved. A piece, Lahavdal Fe'avdalit, a piece of the rock. A piece of the rock means Lahavdal, but the mementos of Ma'amad Har Sinai, the Luchot, the Shivrei Luchot, the whole journey through the Midbar, which culminates at the end of Moshe Rabbeinu either sewing together the various serial pieces of the Sefer Torah to make one Sefer, or, there's a machloket there, at the end, writing down the official version, as the official version. But either way, the first Sefer Torah that's written by Moshe Rabbeinu is also in that Aron Kodesh, or on a shelf connected to the outside of that Aron Kodesh. And it's journeyed with them, therefore. And now, where does it go? It goes to Yerushalayim. Which way do we face when we face the Aron Kodesh? We're facing Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because Eretz Yisrael has Yerushalayim, which has the Har Bayit, which has the place of the Kodesh Kodeshim. You can fill it in. That's why. That's why the Aron Kodesh is in the front, not in the side. It's in the front, and we're facing toward it. Kimitzion, that point in the shul is the closest point to should be the closest point geographically to Eretz Yisrael in that physical space. Now look at the blending of the 2 aspects. We have the Torah, that's the Torah of Har Sinai, coming, so to speak, down the mountain from the place of the Aron Kodesh and from the place of Shamayim represented through the Aron Kodesh. Where does it go? It goes down to the Har Sinai in the room. We lane from it right there. Then what do? We put it right back. But what is the language that we use? The language that we use is the language of the journey of the Torah with us through our journey. Because if we're standing in shul, then there's that's our mikdash ma'at. We're not in the Beit HaMikdash. What's going to be in Kriyat Torah in the Beit HaMikdash? I don't know. We'll find out. I see it's 9:33 over here, but we started a few minutes late. So I hope you indulge me no more than 5 more minutes. I'm watching the clock. But then what do we amalgamate this theme with? The theme of Kimitzion Teitzi Torah Dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. If you understand this, then you understand that there's a description in the Medrash, which I can't tell you the whole thing inside, but it's just a beautiful idea. V'Sinai mehechan ba. Where did Sinai come from? Where is Sinai sort of emanated from? Where did Sinai herald from? Oh, it's a mountain. If you would ask me the pshat, It's a mountain in the middle of the Sinai desert, right? It's Har Sinai, right? So that's pretty obvious, and there's not much else to say about it, right? But the Medrash here asks, okay, but where did it come from? Like, does it have another source as a mountain? What does the Medrash say? Mehar HaMoriah nitlash. Har Sinai was taken from Har HaMoriah, kechala me'isa, like the challah that's taken out of the dough. Mimakom shenekad Yitzchak Avinu. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hoil v'Yitzchak Avihem ne'ekad alav, na'el levanav lekabel alav et HaTorah. Minayin she'atid lachzor lemekomo shenemar, nachon yeh har beit Hashem berosh harim. Where's that from? Yeshayahu chapter 2. Should have put an extra line in here. I'm going to fix it right now because I want you to see the picture so they could say, and as we like to say, we used to like to say, I think in Hebrew, nafal yipol ha'asimon. But when you look at it, you say, okay, hold on. Here it is. I'm putting it in. This is live sheer construction while we go. What's Yeshayahu chapter 2? Do you see it? Here is the matter that Yeshayahu ben Amoz foresaw, and he had a vision about Yehuda and Yerushalayim. Vaya be'achrid hayamim, at the end of days, nachon yeh har beit Hashem berosh harim. This pasuk, these words, are these words right here.
We read this HaTorah in Parsha Shabbat Chazon.
No, that's we read chapter 1 on Shabbat Chazon.
Well, don't we say Shabbat? We say Chazal Yeshayahu ben Amoz.
That because chapter 1 starts with chapter 2 starts with. It's not Shabbat Chazon. No.
Okay.
No, but this vision of Yeshaya Navi is of the end of days, isn't it? Right. Many nations. So then we read many nations. They'll say, what will they say? L'chu v'nale el har Hashem el beit Elokei Yaakov Yereinu bidrachav v'nilcha be'orchotav. All the nations of the world will say, we want to go to the house of the God of Yaakov. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, essentially. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. You see the amalgam of the two elements here, Har Sinai and Yerushalayim being enmeshed? When we take out a Sefer Torah, we are both reenacting the end, the beginning and the end. We're saying in two psukim, Vayibin Soa Aaron v'Aaron Moshe and Kimitzion Teitzei Torah V'Dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. In both of these ways, we're reflecting on different axes. The one is the journey to Har Sinai, which was a moment in history which came and went, and the other is a return back to Yerushalayim, and a time when Yerushalayim is not just a place to return to, but a place that projects Torah radiating outward to the rest of the world. The Medrash here, very beautifully and lyrically, at the top of the page, just says, where did Har Sinai come from? You should know that it's intrinsically related to Har Moriah. I don't personally understand this in a literal vein. If you'd like to understand it that way, I'm sure that's fine. But personally, I understand it's in an ideational manner. And you see the linkage in the other direction as well, don't you? The piece of Har Sinai is quite literally carried and brought to Yerushalayim and placed in the locus, the location of the Kodesh HaKodashim, the exact spot where Akedat Yitzchak happens, etc. It's connecting covenant and covenant. I think we're a little short on time, so I'm not sure I'm going to get to the other piece of it, which was about the frequency of learning. But I guess we'll leave it maybe for next we learn. But what I hope we took from this is the idea that when we speak about the taking out of a Sefer Torah, we're really speaking about two different themes that are also enmeshed one with the other. One is the theme of the Har Sinai and the journey through the places of wilderness, but also I would say the times of wilderness as well. The other is the connection to Yerushalayim, and both of these are being amplified in the very act of taking out the Sefer Torah. When we say the words Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, what's the next thing we're actually going to do? We're going to take the Torah out of, not Zion, not in Zion, it's in our shul, but it's the point in the shul closest to Zion. It's the point in the shul closest to Yerushalayim. And we're bringing it out. Both of these themes are happening. We're on the journey and we've arrived. And from that place, we take hopefully much edification and emotional and spiritual strength that we can carry with us. And notice how this whole section, Kriyat Torah, is itself enveloped and embraced by the ideas of Torah, of davening on either side, and I would venture to say also of Torah on either side. The Torah that we learned before we stand for the Amidah is Kriyat Shema. Ein omdim litpal el mitoch divrei Torah. So we learned some Torah. The chosen piece is the part that encompasses Kabbalah Omalchut Shemaim. At Har Sinai it was called Nasa v'Nishma, but forevermore it's called Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Then, after we read from the Torah, what do? We're amalgamating the learning with Torah Sheba'al Peh, with Targum. Words in Hebrew, words in Aramaic. That's Nuvalat Sin Goel. What goes in the middle? Not every day, but on days when there's Kriyat Torah, at least every 3 days. Shabbos, Monday, Thursday, and on holidays, we have sandwiched in the middle, specifically, an act of Kriyat Torah, which is meant to mimic Mamad Har Sinai. Take out the Torah, bring it, read from it at a point that's in the middle of all the people, pick it up, show it to everybody, wrap it, put it back in. Speak about the bookends of that middle book that is, if you think about it, 3 books on one side, 3 books on the other, a little tiny little book in the middle of the Torah by Ibn Aaron Uvenucho Yomar, and inside that book, we're always reading other portions of Torah each and every week. Where is its place where it belongs, these 2 psukim? The answer is, it's like a sliding piece. It goes wherever you're going to read Torah. What do you do with it, though? You don't keep it a book sealed. You open it, and inside it is going to go whatever the laning is for that day of the week, or that day of the cycle of Parshiot of the year, or that day within the cycle of Yamim Tovim. Okay, that's all we have time for today, believe it or not. So we'll close now. Wish everyone a great Zman Matan Torah, a proper Kabbalat Torah, and great Simcha that we're able to once again come to the anniversary of Zman Matan Torah on the holiday of Shavuot. We'll resume next week. God willing, I have much more to say on the subject, but hopefully this at least gets us into the frame of mind for Kabbalat Torah. Ad Khan for